The Champions Clash is the first major Overwatch tournament in 2025 and the official reintroduction of the Chinese region to Pro OW after 2 years. They had the GOATs locked up because they knew the Western world could not handle them. And with the matches in Hangzhou, you already know the crowd was beyond hype. When you add everything together, the first hero ban major, a flexible meta, a group of teams with frauds and underdogs, this was easily the best OW tourney since Owl died. But before we get into the best and worst plays, I gotta say this video is only possible because of the OWCS player POVs. Without those, we would be starving, so shoutouts to GOAT. Day 1 began with the oil off, as the top seeded Team Falcons squared off against Lambda. The Pharah one-trick turned Sojourn God, and the rest of Qadsiah were also there, I guess. Right away, in the first fight of the entire tournament, proper like QAD know that Falcons don't just put their money where their mouth is, they speak in a whole nother language with it. Bro got a 5k, he dismantled the full team before the point even unlocked. With the rest of map 1 also being more dominant than Great Tusk and Gen 9 OU, I was ready to call it there, nothing more to see, let's go next match. But Lambda had other plans. On Suravasa, he put on a Sojourn performance reminiscent of Owl Season 5 playoff proper. He was beyond the lobby admin. He was an otherworldly being operating on a plane of existence that we cannot comprehend. Stalker gave up on the mirror. He knew he stood no chance. He had to hang it up. Bro literally tried to go invisible just to avoid being seen by him. Like, look at this shit. He hacked a turret. Bro was doing anything to avoid stepping up to Lambda. And yet, there is no escape. If you exist on the map in any capacity, you're just another Kovacs target. Of course, it's still Team Falcons. So even with a Lambda playing like his next meal could be his last, they're big and gritty ass trying to make sure they're the only ones that get to eat. Despite Lambda personally beating them down multiple fights per point, Falcons clawed back from a 2-0 deficit and tied it up. But on this final point of the map, the constant mental damage of going up against the Lab Demon had taken its toll. Even though Fielder is dead from the flank, Falcons do not care and pushed in one by one to give QAD a crucial fight win, which ends up causing one giant alt fight to decide the map. If Stalker's EMP engage is good, shit gets kinda shiced. But if QAD hold through, they have the odds. Stalker sees the opportunity, it's gonna be all 5! This shit hit one guy. Shout out Landon for this game-winning Suzu, but also like, bro was looking straight at it when he hit EMP. It's tough to blame him though, because the longer you wait, the more likely Lambda gets to kill your whole team, so I get the haste. But now with the engage failed, Lambda hit the Mario Kart double dash on him, left proper alone as Baby Diva, and pulled back around to finish Falcons off with the rest of the squad on point. After a performance like that, bro can't help but giggle. Falcons some light work for real. Unfortunately, the days of giggling did not last as Falcons locked the fuck in. Now, Qadsiah were back to being smoked Montreal meat style. They failed to crack double-digit meterage, and the only good thing to come out of this map was another couple clips to glaze Lambda with, which you already know is completely slathered with honey. Now, you can get 141.84 meters on Lambda, but 142? No sir, not happening. Bro got the proper cosplay and the Fletic cosplay. He's a man of many talents. With this, Falcons move on to play the winner of Virtus Pro and once again on day 2, while Qadsiah drop to lower bracket and play the loser between the two later that same day. The story for this match is simple. With the first to 2 format and VP being the higher seed, meaning they get the initial map pick and first ban, can once again overcome the unavoidable targeted bans to their one-trick Winston composition? The answer? We will never know. VP inexplicably did not ban Winston or any other core part of the comp in map 1, and as a result, they got demolished. Owe had 4 deaths total, but at least now VP can go to Circuit Royale and play their brand of Overwatch. Plus, they saw no Gushway in the lobby, so they thought this gonna be some light work. No, No, it is not. This was like a 6'5" lanky motherfucker challenging a 3-foot Chinese kid to run the one on the court and losing. What do you mean, bro? This is your turf. You get Vestola on Sigma. You get everything you could have wanted. So they don't ban out the Winston comp and they lose on the Sigma comp. What's even the point? Virtus Pro? Nah, that's Virtus Noob. Up top. Hello? Next up, we have Nightmare versus Team CC. And I just have one word. Complete and utter domination. I'm not sure if this qualifies as a game of Overwatch or a sick and twisted experiment to see how much abuse a team can take on their own home soil. Across Koth and Flashpoint, Team CC couldn't manage a single point. This is the type of match that makes you hop off the game, go Valorant, or better yet, get away from the FPS genre, go Insane Aquarium, Plants vs. Zombies, do something. You gotta get out of there. Which brings us to the final first to two. Crazy Raccoon versus SpaceStation Gaming. This game took a long time to get on the road because of technical difficulties. So much so that the SSG players started taking a snooze, but not Hunter. He was absolutely dialed in to the coaching documents. We are looking at a historic piece of literature that some are calling the Hammurabi's Code of Overwatch strategy, and he was so gracious as to share a glimpse of it with the rest of the world. However, Crazy Raccoon are above the law. It doesn't matter if you're a literal wall or a real breathing human, Lip is going to toss you like a salad. Meanwhile, Junbin is on the loose, running around committing multiple accounts of vehicular manslaughter. On the following map, Seeker was on the case, trying to clean up the streets and hold Crazy Raccoon accountable for their crimes, but it turns out the instructions to do so were on page 87. And he never made it that far in. Despite his best efforts, Junbin beat the shit out of him and the rest of SSG, sending them down to the lower bracket without breaking a sweat. Which means we are finally out of first to two hell. And for our troubles, we get an EMEA matchup on the first day of the international LAN? So for one of these teams, half of their opponents will be from within their own region. On the bright side, Virtus Pro and Qadsiah had some bangers in the past. And after the Lab Da Vinci Clinic earlier, we were in for a show. At least, we should have been. But instead, Qadsiah looked more lost than a Mercy one-trick after the ban phase. Tread started Maga, then swapped to Ram for a life before ultimately deciding to mirror Vestola on Sigma? It took 2 fights for him to realize he was not built for this, and frankly, that's 2 fights too many. Bro had to hang it up, threw away 2 ults just to change comps. After this, Tread was shot dead on the spot. And I don't know why they needed to repeat this story beat, because Tread was already benched for Ziad this season. And just like last time, the team looked better after the swap, but there was no saving them now. Even with the lead for most of the map and a strong overtime push, Qadsiah went out unbelievably sad to the hands of their own EMEA brothers. Now it's time for the final match of day 1, SpaceStation Gaming vs Team CC. But unlike their previous match against Nightmare, Team CC were moving different. They cranked up the Mario Kart to 200. And I just gotta say that this team low-key got that dog in them. It's not a crazy dog. It's like a Shih Tzu or a Chihuahua, perhaps a Pomeranian, but it's definitely a dog. Just look at Pineapple. He took over the lobby on Saravasa and turned it into a survival game for SSG. He won a point almost entirely by his lonesome and made it a competitive map. If I had replay code access, we'd be able to understand just how crazy this Saravasa was. CJ was going stupid. Lenny and Kellen were tag teaming like they Kobe and Shaq to rotate point touches in overtime. But alas, that gameplay was far too tough for television. Highly classified stuff. If they gave out complete access, they'd have to kill anyone who saw it. I mean, look at the post-map reactions. There is a huge range of emotion on display. Hunter is absolutely flabbergasted, and Lenny, why are you trying not to laugh? You ain't slick, bro. We see you. Bro's out here throwing la fuck you threes with pulse bombs and Spawn TPing out as Widow and just giggling at him. He think everything a game for real. And low-key with Gaga casually killing himself with his first primal of the game, and for his second, praying that he'll quantum tunnel just to keep this juggle alive. He might not be wrong. In the end, Team CC's spunk and dedication to the craft of Overwatch was highly appreciated, and you know what? Maybe next stage they'll pull up to the international land with like a terrier level of dog in them, but for now, they got big dogged and sent home packing, being the only team to not take a map for the entire tournament. And this marks the end of a day full of 2 and 3 Overwatch. Before we get into the really good stuff, I implore you to subscribe for your own safety. The Tommathan Troops are everywhere on the ranked ladder, and if you aren't subscribed, they are sure to gift you a Lifeweaver Mercy backline, which some are calling a fate worse than death. Stay vigilant. Thank you. Day 2 began with what was expected to be a tame matchup between Crazy Raccoon and Nightmare. Surely the NA team that couldn't buy a map win against B-list Koreans who couldn't make the tournament would get beaten down by this weapon of a roster. And in map 1, we got exactly what the Vegas odds indicated. I mean, it's Crazy Raccoon on Ilios. To believe in anything different would be it would be, dare I say, crazy. It would be crazy. By the end of the map, Chorong was floating in the air, aura farming with nano transcendence, and I think that about sums up how this series started. But on map 2, Nightmare started with a bang! An early pick from Lethal, and Shu, playing Brigitte, led Nightmare to breeze through first point. I have never seen a hero ban pay dividends this quickly. This wasn't an investment, this was free money off rip. We gotta call a code Adam, because without his Ana pick, Shu is more lost than a kid at the West Edmonton Mall. This gave them 5.5 minutes heading into second point, and they needed every bit of it. Even when the fight started exactly as they drew it up, with technique so good that Picasso would take notes. We talking back-to-back early fight picks using ults that could not be matched. Yet Crazy Raccoon still held on. With the way things were going, Nightmare was running a 24/7 McDonald's restaurant because they were not closing. It got to the point where Zira said, fuck it, I'll be the one to do it, I'll pull out the sword of the hero. But it wasn't meant to be. With an important ult wasted and Nightmare's significant time bank dwindled down to less than a minute, things were looking dire. But that moment, that failure to be the hero, is exactly what caused him to become one. Zira found the opening pick onto Heesang, and with Crazy Raccoon finally lacking the sustain to survive a nightmarish onslaught, they make it to third point, which is where Zira continues his cook. It might not be the hero's sword, but his blade is good enough to slice Chorong out the sky and goob Lip with his own hand. Because of those kills, the push continues, and Shu gets pieced up as soon as he's out of Trank, while Nightmare sustain through with their rally and clean up the remnants of CR to complete the map in overtime. Now, Crazy Raccoon, taken aback by this Western philosophy, decide to mirror the hazard. And the biggest issue with this game plan is that Max does not have a license to drive this vehicle. He inted at a record pace. Bro died, came back, and died again. I don't think you could do this faster if you tried. Fortunately for Max, Hazard must go into neutral to ult, so he gets off a beauty. And with this, Crazy Raccoon start to build some momentum through Streets phase, and they're trying to carry it all the way. To start the next fight, they push deep into third and don't even give the opportunity for a decent recontest. But Admiral has other plans, with Kuffa and Zira already having made it to the point. He finishes off Chorong and Lip to flip this fight and have Nightmare win it in the end with their closer respawns. Even though Crazy Raccoon still made it to the final point, now they couldn't afford to mess up. But with Shu having the only support ult available, surely a lane on the point just gets the job done. Psych! Heesang gets packed the fuck up and the Lethal slides in to give him a taste of his Turkish delight, tying the series up at 1 apiece. How does Crazy Raccoon handle this map loss? What do they do in response? Soldier 76 Gaming. Lip pushed the boundaries for what a useless ult looks like, because not only was he good for complete stinkers, just garbage stuff. The most he did with a nano boosted Kitsune rushed tactical visor was force a nano Winston to jump the backline. He was gonna do that anyway. This is the biggest economic tragedy of all time. The Great Depression wishes it was Lip on Soldier. All he has to show for every single resource invested into him is getting a Winston to low HP. Yet somehow this is not the biggest Crazy Raccoon troll face of the game. Chorong, what the fuck is this? Where is the Kitsune guiding us? The ult was so bad he swapped heroes and proceeded to do some bullshit again. Chorong must have been so impressed by Zera's nasty triple blink stick from across town that he gave him the Rally Jacks as a bonus. However, the biggest Crazy Raccoon troll of the game doesn't look like a troll at all. The very first play of the map was sending Qadsiah off it, and while he was contemplating on the death screen, he made the decision to show him how a white boy Winston really gets it poppin'. And it's not like Crazy Raccoon was on some unexpected comp. He just looked inward and said, "What am I doing on Ramatra, bro?" From here on out, he was an absolute force in the lobby and even showed off a jungle so beautiful that clowns will be studying it for generations. And if that wasn't enough, his raw aura had Crazy Raccoon shook to their core. With Qadsiah escorting the point, not a soul wanted to step up. Junbin even caught this pulse bomb for Lip, not to save him, but to have an excuse to not be the one to touch. Even with the pulse long gone, Lip slid back as well, successfully evading his responsibility and sending Nightmare to match point. For map 4, it felt like Nightmare had 6 players in the lobby because Big Mo Momentum was on their side. These guys experienced the Chinese Century of Prosperity for one day and started to move different. Coach Moon was found in a manic state on the phone demanding an Ancestry.com investigation because he cannot believe that this team is 0% Asian. He swears on his mama life that Qadsiah was speaking perfect Mandarin backstage, but he just can't prove it. Either way, it's like, damn, can't a white boy speak a little Chinese? However, Nightmare's dominance couldn't last forever, because at the end of the day, the opposition is still Crazy Raccoon, and eventually, they'll find a way to push through to the next point. This team has so much talent that someone is bound to accidentally win a fight. Even with their limited time and a Nano Jax on second, they pulled through in OT, largely due to not just one, but 2 of Nightmare's support ults caught lacking in value. First, UV ults away from the point and towards his demons, followed by Qadsiah being 2 steps ahead of his own sound barrier on the recontest. So with a minute and a half on the clock, Crazy Raccoon entered third point, and things were looking good. Chorong was ahead of Admiral on the beat, and the end of the map was 1 fight away. But he was not ready for the rain. Qadsiah hit him with that Typhoon Force, and the final fight turned into a proper scrap where ZR7 took control of the game. First, with his team down 2, he hits a double kill pulse bomb to even the score, but he still has more work to do. The job is not done. You know, he's saying? More like he needs to get the fuck out of here. Then Shu had the audacity to show up again, like he forgot what just happened. But to be honest, I try to forget dying to Pulse's Kiriko as well. Bro, you got 2 different cooldowns to let you live. And now the fight's been going for so long that Chorong's about to get another beat, so he gotta go. With that, Crazy Raccoon failed to complete the map, and Zera is still fighting. He killing Heesang for the love of the game. He a hashtag real hater. And that overtime 5k only scratches the surface of Zera's value. Half the reason Crazy Raccoon struggled was because he could not miss a pulse bomb. Lip got stuck 3 times in that half alone. Zera got so sticky with it that Elmer's Glue is calling him up for a sponsorship. Meanwhile, Nightmare couldn't stop winning. They breezed through first and got good progress on second, but once CR finally stabilized, they ran it down into Nightmare's spawn and gave up the entire map. They saw Qadsiah chilling in a cave and thought he was Batman. Bro baited the whole squad onto him while the rest of the team rotated for free. With such a dominant position, Nightmare just sat back and stopped CR's push into them with ults. By the time CR finally had an opportunity to aggress, the fight was already lost, but Shu lanes anyway down 3. You can tell they're starting to lose it. After Zera moves the card a bit, he finds the time to add another victim to the Taj. And now, after an extended Tracer duel to sit down Heesang, the only thing standing between Nightmare and a victory over Crazy Raccoon is one single fight win. In the final minute of the game, Lip's opening overclock is forced back by the downpour. However, when the lights are brightest, Lip shows up. He doesn't need any type of automatic rail charge. He works for his railgun and body bags every Nightmare player one by one. If Nightmare want to win it right here, it needs to be off a neutral fight. There are no alts on the board, just Overwatch gaming. Qadsiah, as always, is a presence in the lobby, and Junbin tries to evade him, but there's no escape. Junbin is the first to fall, and the others soon follow. All of a sudden, Crazy Raccoon take a premature trip to the losers bracket from what is easily the biggest upset so far in OWCS, Nightmare on top. As if that wasn't crazy enough, the scheduled banger of the day was supposed to be Team Falcons versus once again. So what? We just get back-to-back barn burners? It's unprecedented, but yet it's true. Except for map 1 though. I mean, Team Falcons, they banned Winston. How is that even allowed? These good people have been waiting for their region to come back to Overwatch, and now you're just gonna subject them to Qadsiah on Hazard, getting his ult deflected back at him and dying. Really? You're really gonna do that? That's gotta be a violation of something. It's like, oh yeah, here's your country's hero. Yes, he's a national treasure, by the way. We're gonna rip off his arms and have you watch. Like, what? You doing, huh? That's like pulling up to Korea and replacing Faker's mouse with a rolling ball. And you know what? He'd probably still be the GOAT. But come on, man, you can't do that. God bless, Leave did a little something just to show that it's not completely Jove, or else there would have been riots at the Hangzhou Esports Center. However, with their Winston ban off the table and Maga banned out of there, Falcons locked the most anti-guerrilla offensive they could. Qadsiah, your smoke is too tough, your swag is too different, and you are too bad. They'll kill you out there. His loosely translated response to this was, "Don't care. More Winston." And while that might seem foolish, it is you who would actually be the fool here. After an early lane from Monk, thanks to the metric shit ton of damage from Falcons comp, once again got point control. And Qadsiah let Falcons know that their fears are very real. He unsheathed the Primal Blade and got no eliminations whatsoever, but in fact did something far more sinister. Both support ults forced out with his Primal alone. Bro took an aerial view to see the fruits of his labor. All he had to do was walk by and let his unfathomable amount of aura do the rest. Then in the following fight, he dropped his bubble to cut Hanbin's heals and force an early Diva Bomb, so Monk's second lane of the game could just win the point. Falcons made a conscious effort to shut down Qadsiah, and not only did they fail, Qadsiah was the biggest impact player in the lobby. You cannot stop this, you cannot teach this, and honestly, I don't think we can fully comprehend it. But by the end of the map, he wasn't the only Winston in the lobby. There were other life forms out there. The Hanbinston was making moves. Bro looked up a combo guide in the 2017 When to Melee video by XQC, taught him everything he needs to know. Just peep the gameplay. Jump into the wall and hit a slide forward. Pop primaling it active. Oh, we're in the pit. Low key though, you can't be mad at Hanbin. Mew had a disgusting angle to get this off. Bro must have had a protractor on the screen or something. Okay, so maybe the Hanbinston was not the answer. And with a tied up series and the major tank bans used, you already know what type of bullshit Falcons were on. Hanbin was hitting the blue steel the way he was mogging so hard, and this time, Qadsiah put down the Tesla cannon. But you know what? I'll say it. There's nothing wrong with the Lil Maga mirror. Let it happen. And once again, couldn't agree more. They took the first meaningful lead of the map after a beautiful kite on Chio's Ray before clapping back with their own. Hold up. Is this Qadsiah hitting a little three-piece? Oh. What can't he do? Things go from bad to worse as Hanbin walks up and gets hit by a fugue state. He's just standing in the middle of the road while his whole team dies. No overrun, no nothing. Bro, do you know where you are? Do you know what you're doing? Look at this shit, bro. Leave meanders through to end this fight before it even started, and Hanbin still doesn't know where he is. What are you looking at? Down 60 meters with 3.5 minutes to go, things were looking kind of shy, but Falcons know when to dial in. Stalker, who, to be fair, I've never seen undialed, kills 3 to get the comeback started. Then Hanbin chases down an overextended Mew like he's using Pursuit and drops the cage to get the checkpoint. Suddenly, Falcons are one fight away from taking the lead, and Hanbin, he's just gonna walk right into 5. What are you doing? Say the people. Oh my god, are you dumb? No. Folks, this is smart, dare I say genius. Falcons are threatening the lead, and with his cage forced, Gushue has no way to stop the barrage of doom. Now no one once again dares to step up, and Falcons secure the lead with little time remaining. OWA have to be perfect with at least 2 back-to-back fight wins. First, Gushue applies that big pressure on Hanbin, and bro has to dip, he can't handle it. Gushue looks to chase him down, but no, it was a bait. He lands directly on top of Fielder's head, and the Falcons core has to go heal up. But it turns out this was a misdirection while Monk carried out the biggest heist of 2025. He stole the bot all the way down the mountain while the fight was going on and turned what should have been at least 2 fights into a one and done. By the time Proper figured out what was going on, it was too late. Shy shot him dead on the spot. Once again, won the Maga Mirror on Falcon's map pick to go up 2-1 in the series. Oh my days. This is bigger than a simple map win. Now, regardless how this Circuit Royale goes, which Falcons have no business losing, once again don't care. They get the final map pick and they control all the cards. But for Falcons, this was a great opportunity to reset and dig the fuck in. Fielder specifically, after kinda doing nothing in that final fight of Runasapi, went stupid on circuit. Bro moving like a jump scare, straight up spawned on Monk from across the map to take him out right before he got ranked. The best part is he had absolutely no hesitation and kamikazed Monk. But if you're afraid of getting burnt, you'll never cook. And then on the offense, he just hit an impactful whip on a diva. I mean, it capped the point and saved him like 2 fights. It's the little things in life, you know, nothing too flashy, but he got the job done. Of course, we knew this was gonna be a map 5er and once again chose to go to Esperanza. The first major play in this all-important map 5 was Hanbin drunk driving, but very quickly Gushue pulled through to show us what we're here for. He saw Fielder TP and was beyond pissed. He said, "Get your ass back here, we are not done." And this time, the Primal Blade wasn't just to get out ults, he was trying to take them out. Not to dinner. Once again, got the checkpoint. However, Falcons were coming back with a strong ult advantage. I don't know how you're gonna get this cage out. If Gushue gets trapped, that is what it is. He dodged! He dodged! He dodged! He dodged! Oh my Hanbin! Hang it up. Hang it up. He can't be stopped. The spacing here is on par with Prime MK Leo. Gushue's playing just far enough away that Hanbin has to walk well past the corner to lock him down, and he gets red like the back of a cereal box. Now that alone wasn't enough to win the fight, but it let Monk lay down a path to success with no roadblocks. And it led Shy right to McDonald's to pick up a 3-piece meal and extend once again's lead. So far this map, Hanbin has been caught drunk driving and whiffed a crucial cage, but guess what? He had one more in him. Bro dropped on top of his team with a bomb strapped to his chest. Someone please check his WeChat pay for a suspicious influx of cash because man, whose team are you on? Literally everything is going right for once again. They have a 60-meter lead with 2 minutes to go. Plan the parade. Glory to the Chinese. My heart! I loved Mew! No! This Ajax, the first of the tournament, by the way, completely changed the course of the game. Falcons went on to win the next fight with their huge ult advantage. And even though they used everything, so did once again. If they wanted to stop Falcons from taking the lead now, they'd have to walk into the Maga comp head on or try to stall for an ult. But Leave got forced out, and Gushue, with nothing but the bubble on his back and the next closest ult being over 30% away, could not contest. So Falcons got the lead with 30 seconds left. Once again tried to mount the comeback. They fought through Falcons without using any ults. There was at least a chance, but they only made it one more fight before Proper said, nah, that shit is not happening. This ends now, and I'm not even on Sojourn. OWA even had the ult advantage heading into the fight, but it wasn't enough, and they got sent to the lower bracket. We were this close to one of the Korean teams being outside the top 3. Unreal stuff. Speaking of unreal, for some of the matches from here on out, I only have the live broadcast and whatever highlights they happen to show between maps for footage, which is kind of like trying to make a Vincent van Gogh original work using different shades of mud. Luckily, we still have every angle of the grand finals that we could need, and a lot of these other matches don't have too much going on, so we're gonna do a bit of a speed round. Crazy Raccoon, Virtus Pro. CR being sent to lower bracket meant they were done playing, and VP were shaking in their boots. Vestola was so scared of the mirror, I thought he was a vampire. Every time he would find an opportunity to counter swap, and Max was always down to match. I swear, bro was hitting more H keys than Q keys, just play the game. Eventually, he faced his fears and squared up, but it was far too late. But the terrors crept in, not just to the strategy, but also the gameplay. Like Gala patiently waits out the hands just to toss his ult out and pray. This shit is not close. It's tough to blame him though, cause Hee-Sang was moving like a sleep paralysis demon. He's sitting just at the edge of Shockwave's vision and hitting headshot after headshot. Then, as soon as he could fight back, he went right back to spawn. At least they got the dub on King's Row so they can pretend they ain't go out too sad, but there's undoubtedly a bit of a frown. Next up, once again versus SpaceStation, and these first two maps were OA dominant, not a point for SSG despite featuring a special guest. Literally me on Genji. Yo, has anyone told him that to kill the guy, he has to hit the shots? Like, bro, are you good? After watching SSG lock Winston May on Circuit Royale with their tournament life on the line, I was ready to go next. We've seen all we need to see. Go home, play some Valorant, eat some McDonald's, you deserve a good rest. Getting past the second point proved to be too tough, and Leave was doing it all with the default crosshair on full bloom. The devs really said, I don't know bro, just fucking make the circle massive, eh? Like, what is that? However, on the defense, the Kellen Sigma shut the door, and Liga was unwilling to leave bars the diva. The diva, holy shit. Chills, literal chills. So yeah, and then Seeker went crazy and we went to map 4. Yes, yippee! This is where shit gets real. SSG held the lead basically from start to finish, but you know, the last moment's the only one that actually matters, and they did not have the lead at that time. This map was a nail biter, but there's no real good clips to use, so I don't know, go back and watch the VOD of my co-stream that can be found at ttv/Tommathan or like the live tab of this channel. It is what it is. I think it's an attempt from big Chinese Overwatch to try and ruin Braun's legacy, but we ain't gonna let that happen. Not today. Which leaves us with the final game of the day. Crazy Raccoon versus Once Again. One of these teams must go. Map 1 started with the classic OA debuff. Ilios plus a Winston ban equals Gushwei on Diva, which means you gotta pray for divine intervention because this is unwinnable through normal methods. Now that they've sacked the Shipmon, everything was going just as expected. And by as expected, I mean completely expected. What do you mean they didn't capture a single point on Suravasa? And Crazy Raccoon aren't making it look tough. Hee-Sang is going for an evening stroll. Not a care in the world, can't even be bothered to stick the pulse bomb, turns around to see a prime Kovac scenario for the taking, and then he's already heading for the next point before the fight's even done, but he still picks up the final blow. So after 5 possible points, OWA have taken 0 and we're good for about 250%. To put a fine point on it, they're completely fucked. So what's the deal with them? What's going on? Well, how about you save your questions for the end, because you ain't seen nothing yet. If you thought 5-point losses in a row was bad, how about we go 9? Crazy Raccoon full capped with over a minute on the clock, and OWA responded with not even 1. They came out here and hit the reverse three-peat. They 0 for 3. And somehow, despite all of this, Gushwei was still him. He's simply on a different level. While the rest of his team is putting in less work than your unemployed friend at a crisp Tuesday at 2 p.m., Gushwei is moving mountains. Like right here, there's a minute left in the game and Gushue goes on a primal dive to the backline. He zaps Shu, takes Chorong out, sees Lip looking at him funny, so he turns around, takes him across town like a damn taxi service, and somehow lives on 24 HP. And yet, they still can't win the fight. So the lore here is that Shai was going through it with an illness, and the team as a whole, other than Gochwei, of course, was completely tuckered for their third game of the day. So in conclusion, the trend of the home team going out unbelievably sad is still very much alive. And with that, we go to day 3. After yesterday's events, you can guarantee that Team Falcons were up all night fearing the nightmare they'd face tomorrow. Now that they're one of the 4 teams to ever beat Crazy Raccoon, they command a certain amount of respect. Not from Hanbin though, that guy does not care. He is still on his bullshit. Bro is caging his invisible demons while his team is getting blown up by a very real one just outside. Actually, we have to have a genuine conversation. What does he see in the lobby? Because I'm looking around for the reason he used cardiac overdrive, and I can't find a single one. I think Proper was doing the same thing. He saw the circle pop up and started looking around for someone to run up on, but no one's there. And of course, let's not forget the Hanbin classic. Just fucking give her, bud. He runs it down like he's racing against Usain Bolt in the 1v1. Normally, he's making space for his DPS, praying that one of them will find a kill. But not in this case. Proper is dead and Stalker could not be further away if he tried. And Hanbin doing a dangerous amount of trolling opens the door for Nightmare to get it poppin'. Like, right here, he just kept running past Lethal. Where is he going? Hello? Then you take a gander across the lobby and see Kuffa hitting the Goob ult in overtime to keep Nightmare in the game. Luckily for Falcons, the DPS line is very familiar with this type of situation, and Proper was working faster than Mappa animators going on hour 25 of the day. While it should be illegal to put in this kind of work, I can't lie, this shit go crazy. Meanwhile, Stalker was making Farah look like prime Overwatch 1 Orisa the way he was pulling up and making plays. In the final fight of the map, Nightmare was looking good with a massive ult advantage in almost both support ults. But Stalker came in with a guts boosted conk and told the new kids on the block to respect their elders. UV got punched out at Mach speed before Admiral even had the chance to save him with Rally, winning Team Falcons map 1. For map 2, Nightmare went to King's Row, and they started to move with a bit more confidence. You know, Zero wasn't suffering from CTE and dying because he forgot he took the conk perk one fight and then did the exact same thing again in the very next one. But that's behind us now, and Lethal hitting the repeat performance to open the map up and get Nightmare huge time going into second led them to eventually complete the map in overtime. For a while, it was dicier than a game of Yahtzee, with Proper hitting American Ninja Warrior ass deflex and generally being a problem. But when Falcons fumbled the spawn hold with 20 seconds left because Kuffa speed walked past him so he wouldn't be late for his important meeting with John Payload, it allowed Nightmare to slide on in. However, this is where Yahtzee doesn't cut it. We're talking more dicey than the cones of Dunshire. While Nightmare's offense was, pretty good, Falcons responded by beating them down to the point where you can't even call them a slightly unpleasant thought. They speedran the map so fast, you think the Payload was using Mario Kart checkpoint glitches to attain such a time. They finished the map with just under 4 minutes on the clock. When it came to Runasapi, Nightmare were fighting back, almost getting the checkpoint early in the map, before Stalker decided he would rather die than give up this checkpoint for free and turned the fight single-handedly while down his tent. If Nightmare got that checkpoint, their final push to overcome an over 60-meter deficit would have been slightly more doable, but that shit only happened in the first place because Fielder trolled for the love of the game. Like, you think this is a normal fight, everything's chill, and then Fielder is just spotted in the backline and bashes into a wall. What's he doing over there, bruh? Don't worry though, I'm sure he's got it straightened away for the next fight. Did he just miss a bash and a Ramattra? What? Actually, I don't know. That doesn't fucking make sense either. Why are we bashing a Ramattra ult? Where's he going? Anyway, despite Fielder's best efforts, Nightmare could not win the map, and they went down to the lower bracket for the Crazy Raccoon rematch. This time, CR were familiar with their game and more pissed off than Leaf fans after watching their bum team crash out of the playoffs. Crazy Raccoon put their entire being into making sure Nightmare had no hope. Low-key, I think they wanted this more than the actual trophy itself. Heesang in particular was moving like Nightmare had his family held captive, dropping more bombs on him than the Obama administration. Bro was not playing around when he hit the thumbs down during the walkout. He is not a fan. Genuinely, I have never seen him move like this. Bro hit the conk between the Nanoblade and Chew at the perfect time to Qadsiah. He doing this out of pure hatred. There's no other reason to need to look this tough on Symmetra. He made sure no opportunity went to waste either. Like Lip can't hit a pulse? Don't worry. Heesang got you covered. He's playing so well that even the guy who recalled off the map is still getting value. On the bright side, Nightmare at least got a point across 3 maps, so they did infinitely better than once again in the matchup. And if this doesn't prove that the rage buff is real, I don't know what does. After the win, Shu used Kuffa's emote against him. He's not looking at the crowd. This was a direct message. But now, it's time for the main event. There's no way you actually thought we were about to get out of this tournament without the Korean showdown. Crazy Raccoon vs Team Falcons is right up there with Coke vs Pepsi, Godzilla vs King Kong, Light vs L, Violet's Money vs his gameplay, and the list goes on. However, this one is different. For the first time in OWCS, these teams did not meet in the winner's bracket, thanks to Nightmare, RIP a real one. So this grand finals is a whole new level of hype. Proper was locked in, readying himself for this best of 7 battle like a general going to war. And Lip was ready to go to bed. It's been a long tournament. He's trying to wrap this shit up and hit the hay. Because Falcons came from winners, they got that sweet map pick advantage, and Oasis was the perfect place to force a Maga mirror. It did just that. They got exactly what they were looking for. Except Falcons did not win the first round. They were in a strong position with double support ult, but Lip did not care. Took Chio's head clean off like he got a Minecraft mod to make it a decoration. This was just unlucky, right? Surely it won't happen again. Guys? You're gonna want to see this. Crazy Raccoon continued to win the Maga mirror for the rest of the map. It got so bad that Hanbin took matters into his own hands and swapped to Diva. We weren't even 2 rounds in and already alarm bells were sounding. Regions all over the world were getting ready to put Team Falcons on the side of their milk cartons. Have you seen this team? They were this close to being shipped out when Hanbin put the team on his back. Everyone else played on the high ground or way in the back, so they couldn't get ran down, which left Hanbin to juggle the point and maintain possession. He put the schmoves on him to make sure that no matter what, he was staying in that damn car. At the most crucial moment, Junbin got chipped down to low HP and they ran him over. With the big man gone, Hanbin made light work of the rest of them, and it turns out sometimes you gotta give up to go up. Write that down. Hold on though, the job's not done. Falcons were supposed to win the 2 Maga points, not go 50-50. Luckily, this map kept getting weirder. Crazy Raccoon decided they were gonna do a pacifist run for the final round. They genuinely did not get a kill until the final fight. For some reason, the dive team was stuck in the shallow end and the Maga team could only get 1 heart pumping. It's like these two don't play each other for a few games and they forget who they are. And just to keep this bullshit going for map 2, the Hanbinston was in the building. Actually, not only was he in the building, he owned the building. Team Falcons didn't drop a single percentage on the opening point. The worst part is it just kept going. Hanbin placed a random bubble in the middle of the point, and Chorong ignored it so much that he let it split his beat entirely. Who was this for? What was the purpose of this sound barrier? However, real ones knew that Hanbin could not keep up this charade of a real Winston player. After blowing another bubble like he's chewing juicy fruit, Chorong ever so slightly boops him forward, and his response is to go balls deep for the health pack. Things were finally getting back on track for Crazy Raccoon, and I think it started from Chorong's beat being so atrociously bad that he looked inwards to lock in. It's like he got pissed off at himself for giving that bubble value. and now the whole team's perspective changed on what they were up against. It's like, yeah, that's a pretty good juggle, but you know what? He makes an even better aim trainer. Once Crazy Raccoon decided to fuck around, they found out that they're actually pretty goated at this. Junbin was just going for it with Primal, having a great all-around time. Grab a kill there, toss like 100 guys around, force a beat over here, get a little cardio in, you know, just to keep the blood flowing, maybe go around the block, and oh, there's a free kill. Bro forced the beat and killed the Lucio with a single ult. CR was moving economically with these high value ults. I mean, some of them were basically theft. Getting a pulse kill while the Kiriko with Suzu is right there is basically the same as robbing a bank across the street from the police station. Shit was so egregious that Fielder fled the scene of the crime. With the series tied up, Falcons went to Runasapi, and this is where we get the first Winston vs Maga matchup. In the beginning, there was lip killing 2, and Crazy Raccoon threatening to push deep into Falcons territory multiple times over. The one thing, the one man that stopped this from happening was Proper. He showed him what a real thug looks like. Crazy Raccoon might have been getting big value last map, but it still had a cost. To Proper, this bot was free. He's allowed to take it if he wants. The bot steal stopped CR from going significantly past the checkpoint, but it wasn't a big deal. This one though, no words. How are you gonna get your guy stolen from you back to back? First the bot, then the bot again? Next, while you're watching the bot like a hawk, he about to steal your girl, your banking information. He'd steal your damn life too if his wasn't already better. But guess what? He's still moving with it. Somebody has got to end this madness. Proper single-handedly stopped like 2 fights worth of progress, and now he's done moving in the shadows. He's done with stopping problems. He's about to go make some with his great pal Stalker. These two were on a mission to get Falcons the lead. They went on a generational multi-fight run of carry after carry after carry. They were moving like Prime, Kobe, and Shaq. No, Goku and Vegeta. In the fight where Falcons took the lead, Stalker was the fight. His overclock forced out beat, struck down barrage, forced out the primal, and killed the primal. They used 2 different defensive ults, and Stalker teared through it all. Oh, and don't worry, Proper didn't let Stalker carry thrice in a row. He had to hit the casual 3-piece combo in the enemy spawn just to make sure that didn't happen. He wasn't done yet either. In the overtime, Proper made sure Lip died with the overclock in his pocket, and he let Stalker clean up the rest. Bro styled on him a bit too. Had Heesang looking goofy with the footwork trying to dodge, but that shit did not work. Map 4 brought us to Route 66. However, we did not get to explore the first point, cause Hanbin's greedy ass wanted 75 HP before he jumped back to his team. I think it's time to start a dialogue. This guy is an addict. He has a health pack problem. He's always on the lookout for that sweet, sweet nectar. I don't get it. For the second point, Stalker was still on his grind and stabilized Falcons with a 2K on the back line, or so we thought. It turns out there was something far more sinister at play. Lip snuck by everyone and lurked in the shadows. Somehow, despite his presence being known, he caught Proper straightlining, then drew Hanbin's aggro. And by aggro, I mean he just looked at him with a stern attitude, no real threat though. Meanwhile, Junbin was going to work. He took Stalker halfway down the road, and suddenly there were no Falcons DPS alive. To make matters worse, this whole time the cart was moving. Hanbin came back too late, Fielder got the stagger of a lifetime, and Crazy Raccoon meandered into third point with plenty of time to go. Be that as it may, no time is enough when dealing with Proper. Sure, Batman with unlimited prep would still struggle to beat him if at all. Bro was running so many circles around the backline that he triggered a tornado watch. And when he was needed most in overtime, you already know where he was. Proper hunted down Junbin with the persistence of the immortal snail on steroids and conveniently was led right to Shu. Lil Bro got pieced up with the quickness before Proper whipped out the broom and started to clean up. In the end, after all the Falcons fumbles, Crazy Raccoon fell short of completing the map. As it turns out, both Binstons hate first point. For Hanbin, at least we know what happened, but I have no clue what's going on with Junbin. Although, unlike Falcons, Crazy Raccoon were cooking for their second point defense. A large part of that was because Lip did not care about whatever nonsense Hanbin was doing around the map. There was an entire gorilla dead chilling on his high ground, and bro low-key don't give a fuck, just went back to looking over the rooftops. Proper pulling up wasn't the worst thing either, especially when dropping off the high ground gives you the goat angle on the support. And speaking of support, Shu is him. They let him out of Kiriko jail for one map, and he became more demon than human. On the offense, he got the fuck around a little, but on the defense, it's a whole new game. He came in on the side with a 4-man flank nade that won the fight on the spot. At that point, they're not playing Overwatch, they're just trying to survive. Just like Shu is winning fights on the spot, he can also lose them. I think 2 minutes of easy defense was starting to make him bored, because I'm not sure how else to justify straight up walking into the enemy spawn while every single one of them is chilling right there. The good news is, he's so cool we forgive him. In the overtime, he hit the 180 to get revenge on Proper for all he was doing in that last round, then waited out the Suzu to hit the nade on the backline, and got the dub to go with it. For map 5, there was some crazy stuff going on, and not just in the lobby. Basically, the map pick and bans have to be done quickly within a specific amount of time. And Falcons went over that time by like 2 seconds or something due to admin miscommunication. So because of that, they lost their map pick and map 5 got randomized, but apparently they wanted to play Esperanza anyway, so it kind of all worked out. This is only relevant because Falcons used all of their luck to get this map pick. The series of events that unfolded upon them is shocking. We're just gonna get right in at 3 minutes deep. Mago vs Winston and Crazy Raccoon are at the checkpoint. Chio gets tickled by Junbin and instantly drops the Ray. That was pure fight or flight. He is spooked, and the Ray, well, they're walking with it. At the same time, Stalker pops ult, and this is not an overclock. Don't be fooled. This is just a clock. He accidentally took the extra ammo perk instead of 150 rail. Not that it would have mattered in this case because he didn't have anything to shoot at, but still, this causes a domino effect because now Proper's got a blade. He needs to take over on Soj duty, but it's so ass that he doesn't throw out a single slash, which means Falcons roll the rare 0 for 3 on good ults in this fight. And as if things couldn't get worse, the man who started this cascade of tragedy kills 3 in the end. Now, CR has the checkpoint. Junbin is big chilling till Falcons push him off the corner, and he's done it again. Hanbin, how do you let this happen a second time? Oh my god, real tears. We gotta do something about this, like, this is a bit much, no? And we're not done yet. Because a minute later, we're right back on this corner, and Chio seemingly gets picked up by the hand of God for this Ajax. He went around the corner and hit the conch right on the top of his head, making Chio the second Ajax of the whole tournament. And it happened on the same map as the first one. What's up with Esperanza other than Chio? At least this is where the misfortune comes to an end, and Stalker is putting in crazy work on Pharah. Even if his plays don't pan out, they still look really cool, so it's always worth it. This gameplay is genuinely a beautiful work of art. The way they fall together but separate, just chills. Full body chills. Now that the Ying has yanged for Falcons, they can get a little comeback going. Never mind. My bad. Just go next map. That's on me. With Falcons losing their map pick, this series has shifted. Crazy Raccoon are at match point, and all the pressure is on Falcons to keep themselves alive. Falcons bring us to Circuit Royale, the first max map of the series, and with Ram Juno bans, they better whip out comps we ain't seen around here. One thing's for sure though, the Crazy Raccoon DPS line are feeling it. They are ready to play some game. And so was Proper. He pulled up on Heesang like he was personally offended by the mate pick and got down to business. He smashed through Shu's window, did the dash on Chorong, then made sure there were no witnesses to tell the tale. Bro thought he was safe on the run. No sir. With Falcons having an exorbitant amount of time on second, Max wanted to make sure this flux was good. He weighed his options. He's looking for the right opportunity. He's doing his taxes maybe, like he has to be doing something. Oh, we're not gonna hit anyone. Oh, my bad, my mistake. I thought we were trying to win the game. Watch out, there's a Lopoko bomb on the way, take cover, or kill Hanbin for free. That works. That's better than the Flux almost. Why did bro try to hit the fadeaway flick like he 2017 Fury? His sense cannot handle that. Had to move his mouse halfway across the table for less than a 180. Other than the tanks going troll for troll, Falcons kept it pushing with less resistances than Hoopa Unbound. So when Chorong started living life on the edge, there was almost nothing left in their way. It's crazy too because Chorong just spawned in on top of Chio's boop. That was not the goal here. And after a beat for the max flux, Chio came back around for the boop-induced C9, finishing the map with almost 3 minutes on the clock. Now, I know I said the comps were gonna be kinda weird, but I was not anticipating the grand final Zarya mirror. I guess it makes sense with the Ram ban, but like, really? We doing this now? We taking the ego duel at a time like this? To be fair, I also didn't expect both teams to defend worse than the Utah Jazz. Falcons got bulldozed by the max charged Zarya and then lost a 3 vs 1 alt trade. I clipped every angle and I still don't understand how. Each Falcons player spontaneously combusted for a different reason. Stalker died on peak, Chio got booped across the map, so Fielder was left all alone and the rest of them just rolled over. Oh, but it gets worse. I raise you the Hanbin solo grab gambit. He decided, yup, we gotta kill Heesang, and you know, I understand that. Plus they accomplished what they set out to do. But the next steps were a little fuzzy. After Heesang's death, Hanbin walked at him with Bubble for a good 9 additional energy, while Proper, who definitely needed that, was left stranded in the middle of the enemy team. And the best part is, Hanbin left himself defenseless, so he too is in this obituary. Whoa, you thought they were done? Nah, they got one more in them. We start with Lip high nooning for space, and as soon as it ends, they gotta get out of there. So CR back it up, and Lip kites into the small room on the opposite side of his team. There is no world where he should be alive, but CR gave him the biggest and best pocket the world has ever seen. Look at it from their POV. He gets bubbled, lamped, windowed, bubbled again, makes it out, and gets bubbled one more time for good measure. Your grandma doesn't put this much love and care into her cooking. Now that he's out of the trenches, it's time to go back in. Chio's hopping around like it's a trampoline park, but no, this is a war zone. We can't let that stand. Then he tosses out a slick hinder onto Hanbin, and we get back-to-back C9s to finish out the map. Actually, it's completely unfair to call this a Falcons troll, because Crazy Raccoon went stupid on this play. Hanbin has to touch this. His Genji's dead, his Lucio's dead, and with Max beaming down Fielder, you gotta give him a bubble. Except now he gets pushed back and slowed, so he can't touch either. It's cinema. There's no other way to put it. Both teams have 2 minutes to make it happen. And first up is Crazy Raccoon, but they get nothing done through their allotted time. But that doesn't include OT, and Heesang's blade is the key. He pulls it out and chases after Fielder, but Chio has rally at the perfect time just to miss the bash completely. Heesang cleans up the backline and Crazy Raccoon move past first point. Chio barely missed his toes, they were right there, but not even the nail was hit. And if you're wondering where Immo went, Fielder tossed that shit to Proper, praying that they trade backlines. But Chu's movement was far too clean for that. There was no world they were gonna touch him. Now anything CR got was basically a bonus, and they had good ults to get it done, at least if Hanbin wasn't around. This guy made a beeline for the backline. He let Crazy Raccoon fuck around up top and dismantled them one by one. But the extra progress they got is not nothing, and the pressure was on Falcons to match. They loaded into their offense and saw Sigma, Torb, Symmetra. The answer is simple. Just go Ramatro my days. Falcons banned that hero, so I guess the next best choice is to just match the Sigma. With everything on the line, we're trusting the Hanbin Reinhardt to get the job done. They're either cooking or they're cooked, and I don't know which. Bro's walking around praying that his team gets the job done, and of course they do. Plus, the big point press ensures that they get past that first corner with ease. They even got some good staggers off it. As soon as they get back, CR are trying to stop that momentum, so Lip sets up the wall. And before Falcons can kite, they get hit by a nasty pull boop combo. catapulting Stalker and Hanbin with a broken shield into the middle of the road. This might not be a car crash, but I can't look away. Stalker's first instinct after being thrown into the street is to use Blizzard. Not the thing that makes him invulnerable, but Blizzard. Because of this, for the final fight, he chooses to crash out on Widowmaker. If Falcons want a chance, Proper needs to build a wall, a Great Wall, as soon as possible. And to do that, he chooses to TP bomb a part of the map no one's even close to. There's just nobody there. This is the worst possible outcome. He has no cooldowns, no ult charge, no wall, and it's overtime. Ults are flying. He finally gets the materials for the wall, but it's too late. This time, Max had no problem picking the victim for his gravitic flux. Heesang came through, gave his life to take out the threat with Barrage, and Crazy Raccoon are just too crazy. They are your champion Clash champions. That's what we gotta call them, guys. That's the best we got. Awesome. Sensational stuff.